For most of my life, I've had no friends, no money. I've typically always been broke, and I've never had much luck when it comes to relationships. This is my story, and this is how Dungeons and Dragons saved my life, and how it might save yours too. But what I never imagined I'd find on this journey is a single RPG that's not Dungeons and Dragons that will make you a better GM. It will make you a better player and just all-round better storyteller. And I bet you've never heard of it before. My name is Gabriel Galway. This is The Ugly Goblin. And ever since I was a child, I've had kind of no friends ever. I've been bullied, outcast, and, just in general have found it very difficult to find my place in the world, to find my people. I grew up as a country bumpkin, going to country schools where students would drive up in their tractors and beat down your confidence and call you slurs if you wore anything as wild as a pair of colorful socks. I did have some friends from time to time, but I was always the one who was tacked on to a pre-existing group of friends. And I could never shake that feeling of being an outsider. And even then, it didn't take long before our interests, our hobbies, and our other forms of entertainment started to drift away from each other, and we just kind of weren't compatible for very long, with sports, cars, and women being the main priorities of most people I met. I often felt very out of sync with the world around me. A small world, mind you. It was quite a small incubated space, and every time I would go to a new school, or eventually also when I went to college, my mom would always tell me I think you'll find your people here. I think you'll find your clan. And I think she was telling it more to herself than to me, because she didn't want her son not finding friends again. It's just interesting to look back on that. And I did find a few small friend groups, but they usually went to other schools, or in most cases live very, very far away. I have a lot of friends who live very far away from me, even to this day now. But there was this one moment on my first day of college where I actually felt kind of like Harry Potter at the end of the first movie, where he's talking to Hagrid and he's like, I'm not going home. Not really. And it was really nice. It was really wholesome, but it didn't last too long. Often I did find myself sitting around with a group of very tired people waiting for the end of the week so they could go out drinking again. And being the art college that it was, that often came with a rainbow of narcotics. And I don't mean to sound like a prude or anything like that. I did genuinely really love a lot of these people. Just in the end of the day, I think we shared a very different idea of what we find fun. But there was this one friend I got along really well with, and every now and then when everyone went off drinking, myself and him, we would either go back to our local game store or go back to his house and just play a board game or two, and I love that so much. And I do remember thinking yeah, I love this. This is how I like to spend my time and my evenings. And call me a little nerd or whatever I am. But I wasn't super unfamiliar with board games either. This wasn't a big revelation and stuff. I was actually a big D&D player before I came to college. And eventually, when a lot of college people found out that I played D&D, I was asked to run a few games for them. But nothing was very consistent. But playing Dungeons and Dragons again reminded me of when I was a child, huddled around my brothers or one or two friends who would come over, where we would play games not unlike Dungeons and Dragons. But then later on, at 14, I did actually discover the game. I discovered D&D, and I loved it. I was hooked. And now, at that age of 20, I had a taste for it again. I wanted more consistent Dungeons and Dragons in my life. And then one day, out of the blue, I saw a Facebook post where an Adventures League group was actually starting up in my local game store. For anyone unfamiliar with Adventures League, it's kind of the closest thing to competitive Dungeons and Dragons, but also not really. It's a very official, organized way to play D&D, where every character you make, the levels they gain, and the items that they're given is all recorded. There's no homebrew, and everything is done by the book, and you never know what DM you're going to get. You don't know what players are going to be at the table. All you know is the character that you are playing, and you are continuing their story. And I remember being super excited by Castlevania at the time, and that, alongside my love for Jack Sparrow, led me to make this edgy swashbuckler full of wit and a Belmont fashion sense, topped with their signature whip. I was so excited to play. I drew up artwork for the character and I began writing up their backstory, and in the very first game, I was killed. My head was caved in by a bugbear puppeteered by a bloodthirsty DM who would later go on to tally all of the kills that they managed to achieve in games that they ran during Adventures League. I went back the next week, but this time I did bring my board game friend. And while waiting for a game, a guy I had never met before sat down beside us and started chatting to us like we had been friends for years, and little did I know that's what we would become. This new friend of mine would then later go on to invite me to play more Dungeons & Dragons with another group of friends outside of Adventures League. And then all of a sudden I'm running games for them. I'm the dungeon master playing games with them, and we went to conventions, and at these conventions I made even more friends. One of those friends is actually going to be my best man at my wedding next year. I actually became our designated DM and ran games on the regular, and our one shot after one shot eventually turned into a 7-year-long campaign. All of a sudden I had built an entire world where I was running multiple games within for a multitude of friend groups I had developed, and I was surrounded by loving people. I had finally found my tribe. And one day I invited this beautiful girl to come play Dungeons and Dragons with me and introduce her to my world, introduce her to all my friends. And I think, ultimately I just wanted to tell stories with her. And 1 year later I moved to Finland to live with her, and 2 years after that we got engaged. And through this simple act of storytelling, I've found friends, I've found the love of my life, and I found myself in a country I never thought I'd live in, honestly. But genuinely, I love it here. I love Finland. I've completely fallen in love with it. But when I first arrived, I really struggled to find work. And so, as I was finding work, as I was doing small design works and things, because I used to be a graphic designer, I started sharing these stories of D&D with you random people of the internet. And somehow now, this is my job. And what's wilder is that after 2 years, I'm already publishing my very first Kickstarter. It's live right now. Links are in the description below. Go check it out. And it's just genuinely so unbelievable to realize how this one hobby of storytelling has just brought so much joy and wonder into my life. And then I discovered ENCLAVE. Now, I've played a lot of RPGs in my life. I'm even making one of my own right now, but this game, ENCLAVE, it hit different. You see, ENCLAVE doesn't use dice. It's like watching a magic trick being performed right in front of your eyes. Like, somehow, it still has all of the crunch of a TTRPG, and it still feels so natural to learn and so good to play. And that's because ENCLAVE puts its emphasis into storytelling. And this is genuinely a game you need to be playing if you want to level up your improv and storytelling skills, and I say that with no hesitation. My friend Skylar, the ADHDM, introduced me to the creator of this game, Robbie, and Robbie offered to run a game for myself and my fiance. And so us two goblins sat down and started reading the book together, learning the rules, and just this simple act of reading the book alone was so much fun. Like discovering how this diceless magic trick could be achieved. I was fascinated. I was sold completely before we even began playing. And then we actually sat down and got to experience ENCLAVE firsthand. So we were thinking some sort of originally like a couple of con artists.
What classes were you thinking?
I was thinking of the Wanderer. Why do they travel? What do they do when they travel? It's like, what if they're con artists? And then what if you're my bodyguard?
I kind of like the vibe as maybe once a stuntman or something. Complete disregard for my physical health.
So I want each of you to give me focus words. Any word or short phrase.
Ooh. Mine's gonna be hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
December.
I was actually thinking, when you said the funny phrases, I was thinking of things that we say constantly just out of context, but I was thinking they put bugs in him.
They put bugs in him.
What?
Oh my god.
I guess, first of all, I'll probably ask for Uppy so I can actually see. I found that in the trash. I don't think you should drink that.
Why would anyone throw away perfectly good venom? And she knocks it down.
There goes my venom. I thought you had this. I thought you always have this.
Listen, I was napping during the briefing.
Oh man, how?
We're here to stop an evil robot. What's the better way to stop an evil robot by having it killed? If I thought, she's gonna go in and kill it, and that'll be our job done for us. I thought that'd be pretty cool.
Oh my God, Hala, that's genius. But also, that's also exactly what we don't want to happen. Because she said it's straight up not killing them. Is a whole other term. Like it's killing and then it's sacrificing. We gotta do the killing. They're gonna do the sacrificing. If there's a sacrifice.
Okay, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
All right, well, I'll go get my baseball bat and I'll start pulling it out of my bag.
Yeah, just like, shut up, Mark. Shut up.
They would suddenly see this strange vision kind of blurring into their eyes. There's a sudden spark, bugs pouring out from the fire, from the logs, as you often do when you light a fire, and everything living in the logs escapes.
Molotov cocktail.
Molotov cocktail. Now we're talking. See, I was thinking of all this smart, but you just went straight to the Molotov cocktail, which are guaranteed to start a fire. Now, all we need to do is find a Molotov the reception. The alcohol. That nearly knocked me out. Yeah, give me 1 for me and then 2 for the road.
You see that they pass over 3 shot glasses. The man's hand is slightly trembling as he passes.
Beautiful.
And they just kind of like look at you. Are you gonna take one?
Yeah, that's what I said. 1 for me now, 2 for the road. I'll chuck one back and continue walking.
And as you continue walking, putting this thing down is kind of like drinking gasoline that is ignited as it passes into your stomach. That said, while a normal person would probably be brought to their knees by this, triple resilience says you can walk.
Yeah, walking.
I'm gonna soak a curtain with some alcohol. I'm gonna light it with a match.
Your whiskers would get singed.
My whiskers.
The other security guard turns his gun on Hala.
Simultaneously, grab the gun that he's got by my head, lean in to headbutt him, and continue falling to try to fall into the other guy, while also using shield wall to have some of the chairs from the seating rise up in front of Hala. You don't hurt my dog! I'm just gonna have the gun and toss it behind me in the direction of Hala, if that's somewhat useful.
Raccoon has acquired the pistol. It is so big for you that you have to hold it on your belly to make it point up. He just slowly raises his phone.
Amazing.
But what a better sacrifice than the deacon of the church.
What are you gonna fire?
Yeah.
This is a strong gun. This is not a 9mm. This is like a chunky firearm. And so you would scoot backwards, bash yourself in the nose with this thing.
I think when I see them trying to line up the shot, I know they're a very small raccoon. It's a very big gun. So I'm going to see where it's kind of pointed towards. And I'm just going to grab them by the nape and kind of roll them around so we're in front of the gun nicely.
That's way better. Raccoon fired shot from tummy is definitely going to be able to hit, but not necessarily hit the most productive place. But in this case, by wheeling it around, it goes clean through the center of the back. It would actually hit Muck as well, but he is not only have Trip's resilience, he's got a reskinned heavy armor.
I do. I actually was going to say, I think it might be Kevlar is basically what he wears.
Yeah, exactly. And so going
like
through a body and then hitting you, it would not even break your skin. Sweet betrayal. Cyphrix, you rogue. With the ceiling now completely on fire, the two of you would feel your Enclave badges ping. Final actions before you teleport out.
I'm gonna flip off the camera.
And Muck, final actions from you. Your body on fire, everything itching, centipedes crawling out of your skin.
Hala, I think I'm compromised. I got the demon, I got the devil inside me, and bugs coming out of my ears. I don't know if I go back there to that Enclave place, I might tear the whole place to smithereens. I don't think it's safe for me to go.
I'm standing on his chest, listen, get your shit together.
As Hala says this, Muck would actually feel the pain subside. Vitality lets you do something called rallying, where you can heal people through character interaction.
Aww, that's so cute.
I like that.
Alright, let's get out of here. Get some hot chocolates.
And on that note, we will end the mission.
Beautiful. That was amazing. Well done. That was beautiful.
I'm shocked that we actually managed that. It wasn't looking too hot a couple of times.
Oh no, I was like, there's a very decent chance they just failed.
Now, maybe it was the joy of playing alongside my partner or Robbie's wizardry with the system, but This whole process was so refreshing. I was brought back immediately to when my uncle used to tell my siblings and cousins and I stories from the Dark Tower series. But he would change them and allow each of us to choose our own characters to be added to the tale. And when he eventually got tired of telling those stories, I took over. And that's where it all really started for me. This love for sitting around with loved ones and creating worlds and heroes and fabricating their failures and triumphs all in real time as if we were living out those moments. We never had dice. Over time, when I eventually discovered D&D, we began relying on these number rocks to do X, Y, and Z, but when I played Enclave, I realized how much dice actually hold you back from storytelling. They hold you back from telling the greatest stories that you can tell. Combat immediately feels sluggish as soon as you have to stop the game and start adding up numbers, or moments when you have told the greatest speech of your life come crumbling down when you end up rolling a 3 on your dice roll. Enclave pushes you to tell the best story that you can tell, to really truly live as your characters you're inhabiting and not be worrying about like how many hit points the beholder has left. Every action you make, every decision in Enclave has weight and it feels real. And after a single session with Enclave, I have noticed how my games have exponentially improved. My improv game has gotten better already. If ever you've even considered taking up improv classes to get better at D&D, or you find roleplay just a little bit tricky, heck, I mean, if you love roleplay, even better. Play Enclave. It will open up doors in your brain, releasing neurons that make you go,
ooh, wee. Before this semester's over, you're gonna be real sick of that phrase.
Seriously, I cannot recommend Enclave enough. Genuinely, truly, I love this game. Enclave is collaborative storytelling in its truest form. It is the purest form. It is the essence of why I play these games. It is the embodied core of how I have found all of my friends, how I found my dream job, how I found the love of my life. Play Enclave. It has just gone live on Kickstarter right now, like literally today, like only like an hour or two ago. It's there. Go get it. And yes, this video is sponsored by Enclave, but I didn't have to make an entire video for it. I wanted to make an entire video for this outside of my regular schedule, mind you, because I love this so much. I truly, really believe in what Robbie has created. I think this is a genius game, and I think as many people out there need to know about it and need to play it because it will just make you better at everything else that you do in this genre of TTRPGs. You need to get your hands on Enclave today. Go check it out. Links are in the description. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all next time. Also, thank you to all my patrons. I love you all so much. Thank you to Tom WDW. Thank you to Bridge on the Lake. Also, thank you to Xander Brooks and to Wither King 1215 because you guys have actually joined after I recorded this, but I wanted to add you in because it just means the world to me, all of you hero goblins out there. Thank you so much. Thank you to my Giga Chads. Thank you to my pajama goblins and my fancy goblins. You're all amazing. Thank you for allowing me to continue making YouTube videos as a full-time career. You are incredible. If anyone wants to support me, that's also the best way they can support me. Or you can click on the link in the description below and pick up a copy of Enclave. Goodbye!